In this episode of Voice of the Sea, we join shark researchers and fishers working together to find solutions to shark depredation. We head to the Hawaiʻi Institute of Marine Biology, where fishers from Guam and Saipan gathered for a week-long workshop with Shark Lab researchers to gain hands-on experience in shark handling techniques and advanced tagging technologies.
And see, it says stay armed, you talk to it, and it's ready to go.
So I wanted to check and make sure everyone understands that when you're working up a shark, the most important part is to have 3 points of contact, right?
We got a lot of shark problem in Guam.
There's rare days when we don't get bothered by sharks at all, and there's some days that more than half of our catch is depredated by sharks.
A lot of fishermen are losing their catch nowadays to sharks or lose the whole reef.
There's a certain sound that is emitted from outboard engines when you put it in neutral. And it's this high-pitched scream. And all of my videos show that as soon as a boat gets put into neutral, sharks come out from the deep, from left and right. They just all boom straight into that sound. So I'm thinking, one, our fishing techniques are training the sharks. Just like Pavlov's dog with ringing a bell, that high-pitched noise is very distinct and it only comes during that time. Well, when do you put the boat into neutral? When you're about ready to reel in the fish, right?
What I want to show you guys is it's connecting and it's listening in test mode right now. I want to have one of these guys out. We're going to turn it on. I'm having it near the hydrophone because we're in air, right? When you're in water, obviously this can listen for 800 meters, 1,000 meters sphere away. And it needs to turn on. And look, you see that 9001-5008? It just caught this ping, and then it could be a little bit longer. Oh, there's the next one.
Have you guys timed yourself on how long it takes you to tag the shark?
Yeah, we have a general estimate, and the thing is that changes per species. So when we were working with tigers, that was excellent, because that's a very hardy species. We could have them roped up to the boat for 30, 45 minutes as we're, monitoring the shark, making sure she's okay, and she's just fine. Now, my 6 skills, for example, are deep water sharks. When you make that incision and you stick your fingers in, it actually feels like you've just shoved your fingers into the refrigerator, because their bodies are still really cold from being 900 feet deep. So those you have to work much quicker because they're literally being heated up at the surface of the water. They're not normally there. So I want those 30 minutes and under. If we haven't reached that point, go ahead and let her go. Same with scalloped hammerheads is even worse. You have maybe 15 minutes. You need to get that shark go ahead tagged and send them on their way. So V16s we're using on our larger species, these Galapagos, these tiger sharks, these 6 skills. But if you're wanting smaller guys, like you guys pulled up some green eyes, you saw those are really small. You probably don't want to put this guy in there. You want to go as big as you safely, obviously, can, because you get it. The bigger the transmitter here, the more power it has, the more battery life you can have, right? A lot of times these tags with the tigers can be 7 to 10 years it's transmitting, while something smaller might be 3 years. We've shown you how tags work. We've shown you how you listen to them. We've shown you the different types. We've went back over shark handling, given you a little bit about acoustic telemetry, the theories behind it.
We and I have experienced shark depredation for quite some time, and fishermen have been complaining about it, have been documenting the changes and the increasing changes in our catch. My first experience with shark depredation trolling, maybe occasionally you'll get a shark that will attack your yellowfin tuna. And it'll only be yellowfin tuna. They won't attack wahoo, aku, or bonita. But as the years go by, that behavior started to change. They started taking your wahoo, your mahi, your marlin, It's an increasing and changing pattern. But not only that, we're now having instances where the shark are attacking artificial baits that are being trolled.
Do you have evidence of why it's happening or suspicions about why the shark interaction's increasing?
We don't know. We don't know if it's an increase in abundance. We're not sure if it is cyclic. Maybe this is something that occurs naturally and this is the cycle. That's why we're happy to be a part of this, to help scientists and ourselves understand what's happening. I came here thinking that we would fish normally, bring the shark alongside the boat and be successful in tagging, and I don't think we're going to be able to do that. If we are going to do any type of acoustic tagging, it will have to be specialized and targeted. Our normal trolling gear and our bottom fishing gear are just probably not able to handle the fish in a safe manner.
What is it about the gear that just isn't in sync with the need to tag them safely?
Normal bottom fishing gear, between 100 to 200 pound test. The shark's teeth are very sharp, so bringing the shark alongside the boat, their teeth could just snip the line real quick. Whereas here, we're handling it with really thick wire leader. They're handling it with circle hooks that they've kind of filed the barb down to make the hook removal a lot easier.
So the tagging will need to be a secondary companion effort.
Yes, definitely. Or let's say if we are fishing in the area that's being depredated, then quickly switch to larger gear.
On the days that are really calm and the current's not moving, the shark seems to be more aggressive because they can hear everything. They can hear the boat. They know where's the boat. That's why we like to go fishing in the rough, so it kind of gives us like stealth on that because the water's all moving and the current's all moving. When we catch an aga and we're bringing it up, it's kind of harder for the shark to bite the nagas.
What kind of fishing do you do? What kind of fishes do you catch?
So I do spear fishing, do throwing net, I do bottom fishing and pelagic trolling. The reason why I'm involved with this project is because we have a lot of problem with sharks and I want to learn about them and understand them. I'm also a navigator, traditional navigator. So in navigation, we also use shark. There's part of navigation that we use shark for telling us directions where to go. And also we use sharks for us to be able to catch certain kind of fish in the ocean. So this information that I'm learning from here, I hope that back home when I go back to Saipan, because I'm also involved with a nonprofit called Tashi to Table. We're teaching high school kids how to fish and be responsible for the environment. And we want them to learn also about shark.
Growing up as a young kid, there was so much fish. But of course, with fishing technology, population, demand, more fishermen now, times have changed and sharks have somewhat evolved to learning, the sound of a boat and honing in on that. So it takes several minutes, right, to get to the surface. So you have that long wait and the shark can either eat your fish down deep or it can eat it halfway up or it could eat it right underneath the boat. And I think that the sharks have somewhat become trained or tuned into what's going on, and they wait for the free catch. The tax man comes and he's going to tax your catch. But it's part of fishing. In any fishery, if there's fish around, the sharks are going to be there. And I think for them, the sharks figure out the fishing boat and what's happening, and then they just kind of wait for the feeding time. They're like, it's like training an animal, right? Okay, it's feeding time. They're going to show up and they probably recognize the sound of my boat, and they just hone in on it and start feeding from there. the end game or the end result I'm hoping for is that the Hawaii Institute of Marine Biology and especially the Shark Lab is able to determine or find a way to deter the sharks from attacking our fish that are hooked and coming up on the line.
So when you go back to Guam, are you going to be part of the process of putting tags in sharks or putting receivers out? What is your role?
So most likely both. As much shark interaction that I do experience, I'm more than willing to pop some tags into a shark and do that work, so that way it helps the entire program. I've been an advisory panel member with the Western Pacific Fisheries Council for well over 20 years now. I've been involved in the process for quite a while.
And their role is to help make the management decision?
Correct, yeah. And it's a downward up approach, right? Everyone's involved, from fishermen to scientists to social scientists to the council members, and then they vote in recommendations. And Hawaii has a commercial fishery, like a full-scale. American Samoa, Guam, Sinamai, we don't. It's artisanal. I'm considered a part-time commercial fisherman on Guam. I do have a full-time job, 8 to 5, Monday to Friday, and on the weekends I look forward to go fishing.
Did you get it back?
I'm from Guam. I live in the northern part of Guam, in Jigo. I am a boat captain and owner of my own fishing charter business. I'm also a part of the Westpac Fisheries Council, and then NOAA, and then DAR, which is Department of Agriculture, Wildlife in Guam. I love to bottom fish, whether it be shallow bottom or deep bottom. We do experience a lot of shark activity. Whether we hook up on a shark or the shark takes our bait. When we're trolling, okay, it's pulling, so now you're putting a lot of tension on the line, so it's adding stress, right? So every so often you gotta change out your main line. So same thing when we hit a marlin. You don't wanna keep running that same line because it can snap, because the elasticity of it, right, can only last so long. It's very costly when you keep hooking up and losing lures. I'm hoping that we can try and figure out a way where we can still be able to fish and not come across so many sharks.
So talk to me about the kinds of things you've learned here in the workshop that you're going to apply when you go back home.
The technology and the methods that I've learned, it can be applied in like so many different angles, whether it be collecting data or learning about different species or being able to identify different species. One of the things that I wanted to bring forth was if we can tag other species, like fishes, so that way we can understand a little bit better what's happening to the fish. You know, where is it going? How long is it going there for, you know? So that way we'll be able to track it, right?
Tell me a little bit about your story.
Being a native from Guam, fishing is pretty much the only tradition that's been passed on through colonialism, right? So, a generational fisherman. And then now I run a small business. I have a charter company and ecotourism day resort. We want to conserve our resources for our children for the future. And that's my focus, is like creating the balance of how much we can take and how much, how much we can't take, or what is too much to take. So like the sharks, from a fishing point of view, they harass us, right?
Right.
So when somebody harasses you, what do? You get upset and you want to change the situation. How can we, do better as fishermen to like protect the whole? Because we need sharks. Sometimes we hook the shark and then sometimes the shark doesn't survive either. So, we know that that's not good. So we want to see like what's the best way to interact with the sharks while we're fishing? Is it to go at certain times or do certain techniques that are better for fishing without attracting sharks? Maybe during full moon, they're more active, or maybe during the lowest tide, they're more active in this certain area. Maybe if they tell us something like that, then we can deal with them better. I always think about the catch per unit effort.
That's like how many hours you're out fishing.
Yeah, how many hooks in the water, how many fish you get per hook. If we had seven hooks in a line, if we hook 2 onaga on the line, but one goes to the shark and one goes into the fish box, do we count that as 1 out of 7 or 2 out of 7? Sometimes we're only catching 1 out of like 7 hooked up. So the sharks are gonna take 6 and we're gonna take 1. It's a skewed data. In the terms of long-term population control, that would be a real big factor. It's like something that could close a fishery really quickly, you know?
The tip of the middle.
The University of Hawaii's Sea Grant College program focused on Hawaii's coasts and its communities through sustainable development, safe seafood supply, sustainable coastal tourism, hazard resilience, and healthy coastal ecosystems. Hawaii's Sea Grant.
You're watching Voice of the Sea. We're learning about acoustic tagging technology with UH Shark Lab researcher Brittany Evans. The people in the workshop here, the fishers, they're catching bottom fish, they're catching pelagics, but they're catching some large, like things even larger than a large tiger shark, like some of the billfish, right? The marlin are really big fish. So they have experience handling fishes, but not necessarily sharks.
Yes.
So what's different about a shark?
I think a lot of it is actually what you're doing with the animal. So when they're pulling up these billfish, they might not be interested in putting a spaghetti tag or a transmitter, or it might be more important for them to bring that up to the vessel for them to take home with them versus safely releasing the animal to live multiple more days.
Can you explain to me about the acoustic tags themselves and kind of the system that you're using?
Oh, of course. So it's called acoustic telemetry, and it involves 2 concepts. You have your tag that you're inserting into the shark, and you have your receiver that is out in the environment listening for all of those tags. So this tag is emitting pings at a certain intervals, and these are sound waves, usually at about 69 kilohertz. It's emitting them out, and then as the shark that's been tagged comes by a receiver, the receiver picks up that pings and let us know that, hey, a shark was in the area at that time. The most important part that comes out of this whole project is a better understanding and respect for the sharks themselves, understanding that they're also animals in this environment, and learning more about their movements maybe can offer us a better solution that us scientists can't see ourselves. Maybe it's the fishermen that can actually tell us more about these animals.
We are looking for a few heroes, mentors, trailblazers, innovators, a passion to change lives, spark curiosity, open hearts, and awaken minds, help students answer the question, who am I? This could be your calling, but this is no job. It's the journey of a lifetime. Be a hero. Be a teacher.
You're watching Voice of the Sea. Tell me about your group that came from Guam and the work that you're trying to do here and, take it back home.
Yeah, so we're taking people who are in the ocean every day, which are your fishermen, and particularly our bottom fishermen. They're the ones that are experts that are putting out lines, and they're getting sharks that are coming in and taking their catch. It seems to be happening so much, and we want to know, well, how many species of sharks do we have and how big is their population. And so that's what the study's about. But you really have to start at where it all begins. And that's really on the boat with the fishermen and the shark. I really believe that we should be, in our islands, that we should be the experts of it. And too many times we have people coming from outside telling, oh, you should do it this way or you should do it that way, without really having that cultural knowledge, that historical knowledge of what our resources are and how those are managed. I actually started a nonprofit in 2015. It's called Micronesian Conservation Coalition. And it's really about supporting research, education, and outreach. And I'm wanting to build capacity within the region and supporting students and individuals who want to go into science and need that experience beyond what they're getting in school. And so I want to make sure that those students who want to go into marine biology or be a scientist have the pathway, and that I want to help them get there. So I can give them the kind of field work that they need, the experience, that I can help them if they need help in a certain subject. We can try and help with that. But it's really providing opportunities for them. So if people want to learn more about what we're doing and want to get involved and be supportive, we're at Micronesia Conservation Coalition, and you can reach us on social media or by email.
We've had to interact with sharks as part of the ecosystem from the get-go for as long as we can remember. We know that these sharks are training and learning from human behavior, and so we're trying to figure out the cues and how to change human behavior to reduce those interactions again.
What is your eventual goal when you go back to Guam, you guys implement your study? What would success look like?
Success will look like no more shark interactions, really. You know, having the sharks in the ecosystem doing their thing is definitely one of the goals of DAWR. It's not about culling sharks or removing the problem. It's about learning how to interact in the most harmonious way with nature. That's what this whole training is about. Knowing how everybody acts around a shark. And I gotta say, everybody's just like me when it comes to a 14-foot tiger shark. The first thing you do is, whoa, I'm not ready for that. Can we have a smaller one, please? No? Are you sure? Because I don't really want to touch it. I have to touch it. Huge, man. Okay. A little intimidating. I touched it. No, I have to hold it? Oh, man. Okay, all right. I'll do my job. You got your job? Okay. As long as you're doing your job, I'll do my job. So yeah, it's like trust building times 10. And it's awesome though, because every one of the people that have come and every one of the people that we've met, they're all down. They're all ready to do what they need to do to make this work.
You can help by joining the Micronesian Conservation Coalition or a group in your area. Follow us on social media at Voice of the Sea TV. Mahalo for watching Voice of the Sea. Exploring Our Fluid Earth is the dynamic curriculum developed by the University of Hawaii's Curriculum Research and Development Group. The award-winning Fluid Earth and Living Ocean textbooks are now interactive and online. New activities, updated content, and a teacher community. Exploring Our Fluid Earth is now freely available. Find out more at exploringourfluidearth.org.